So, my name is Alexander Lapshin. I was born in the Soviet Union, in Russian Federation, today's Russian Federation, city of Yekaterinburg, in Jewish family, originally from Ukraine, from the western Ukraine, city of Lviv. In 1990, my family immigrated to Israel. I was just a school child, and I lived in Israel for 34 years. I studied in Israeli college and Haifa University in Israel, and I served 3 years in Israeli military, including well-known today Gaza Strip and Lebanese border with Hezbollah. When I just finished my studies in the university, I studied the law, and my second education is business administration. So, but I decided to skip work in the office and to go travel the globe. So I decided to be travel journalist. Starting from 2004, 2005, I was traveling around the globe. For today, I visit 154 countries in the world. So hopefully I will finish the world within few years, hopefully. One of the places I visited during my trips was Nagorno Karabakh, Artsakh in Armenia, which is at least from the legal point of view, this is the part of Republic of Azerbaijan, but this is kind of historical Armenian land. So I visited this area. The area was under Armenian control. I published few articles in my social media and in Israel and Russian media as well. I just normally continued my trips around the globe. After 5 years, in December 2016, I was arrested in the Republic of Belarus, in the Republic of Azerbaijan. I was told that I illegally crossed the border of the Republic of Azerbaijan when I crossed the border from Armenia to Nagorno-Karabakh. It's important to mention that the only way to visit Artsakh is from the Armenian territory, not from Azerbaijan, because from Azerbaijan it's just a front line. So I visited this area amongst hundreds of thousands of other people, tourists, politicians, human rights activists, journalists. I was just one of them. And then after I traveled, I continued my normal life. But within my articles, I criticized the Aliyev regime of Azerbaijan because of corruption, because of the Armenophobia, the politics of Armenophobia against the ethnic Armenians. And so after 5 years, as I mentioned, 2016, I was arrested during my stopover in Minsk, capital city of Belarus. I was arrested in my hotel room. I was taken to pre-detention center, where I spent 2 months. My attorney, my family, my friends, and a lot of people tried to prevent my extradition to Azerbaijan. The European Court of Human Rights issued prohibition of my extradition, and the same with the Committee of Human Rights of the United Nations. But still, contrary to all those decisions, President Lukashenko, Alexander Lukashenko, decided to extradite me to Azerbaijan. And important to mention the press conference of President Lukashenko, where he was asked about my case. He was asked, I believe, by Armenian journalists, I believe so. And just in front of hundreds of cameras, he said, Mr. Lapshin still here? And then he turned to Minister of Internal Affairs of Belarus. He was just close to him and said, I told you, send him to Azerbaijan. The minister said, but he applied to the High Court of the Republic of Belarus. He's trying to prevent the extradition. So Lukashenko said, I don't care about the court. I'm the president here. Send him to Azerbaijan. So on the same day, I was taken to Azerbaijan, extradited to Azerbaijan, where I spent 7 more months in solitary confinement in Azerbaijani jail. I had tens of hours every day of meeting with investigators. I was told I have to plead guilty illegal crossing of the Azerbaijani border, and plus they insisted that I tried to overthrow the government of Azerbaijan. This is really unbelievable. I'm not a citizen of Azerbaijan. I never lived in Azerbaijan. Plus, they said I must say during the judgment that Karabakh is Azerbaijan. I tried to explain them. I can say Canada is Azerbaijan, Australia is Azerbaijan, but it doesn't make sense. I'm just a journalist. This is something special for our Mr. President Aliyev. And basically, I'm not Rambo or something. I was ready to say everything, because otherwise I was told by them, so you will experience sexual rape here in prison. This is not a joke, because most of the Armenian prisoners of war who have nowadays in the same prison called Kurdafani, close to the city of Baku, between 40 and 60 of Armenian prisoners of war, plus politicians of Nagorno-Karabakh, many of them experience sexual violence. This is normal for Azerbaijani jails. So of course I said, okay, I'm ready to say everything in the judgment. But finally, I refused to cooperate. I didn't know for what reason. So I was taken to the court, and when I was asked, "Are you ready to plead guilty?" I said no. And what about the status of Nagorno Karabakh? I said, I am not a politician journalist. So this is about to be decided by the Armenians and Azerbaijan. Not by me from Israel.
Right.
About 2 weeks after the judgment, I was sentenced for 3.5 years in prison. After 2-3 weeks, I was assaulted in my solitary confinement in the prison by 4 masked men who entered in the middle of the night. I was sleeping. But because it was light 24 hours per day, I could see 4 men. They kept my hands and legs, and one of them jumped on my chest and started to strangle me like this in the knees. So I lost my consciousness within a few minutes. The next time when I was able to open my eyes, this happens after 4 days. So I spent 4 days in a coma in the intensive care unit of local Azerbaijani hospital, and this broken hand, broken teeth, broken jaw, and brain injury. So I couldn't feel the part of my body, like after the stroke. And I was told that I tried to commit suicide, but they saved my life. I tried to say that this is wrong. And then Consul General of Israel, she came to visit me in a hospital. I tried to say something, but I couldn't solve because of the broken jaw. I asked for like pen or pencil just to write. And I wrote her that it was an attempt of my life. She just whispered to my ear, just please be quiet. We will take you to Israel, and then you can just go to any interviews, journalists, and say whatever you like. But nowadays, please keep low profile. And I could see my mom, who visit me in a hospital. After 4 or 5 days, I was expelled to Israel without running my sentence. I never applied for any pardon from the president of Azerbaijan, so they just send me to Israel. That's it, because I believe they feared I will die in the prison. They feared so, like, to complicate the relations with Israel. I believe so. So after I landed in Israel, I spent between 20 and 25 days in Israeli hospital to recover from my injuries. And then I applied to the European Court of Human Rights and the Committee of Human Rights of the United Nations. And 2021 and 2022, respectively, I won in the European Court and received support in the United Nations. Of course, Azerbaijan refused to comply with both decisions. So I was awarded this compensation from European Court and United Nations. They refused to pay. And we complied. On the contrary, the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs of Azerbaijan said openly that this decision is a sign of Islamophobia. I don't know how it's connected to Islam. No idea. Nowadays, I feel like I have to expose my story and the stories of other people who suffered from this kind of oppressive regimes of Azerbaijan, of Belarus, of Russian Federation. And there were 2 attempts of my life recently, in 2020 and 2022. First time in Riga, capital city of Latvia, where I was invited to take a part in the conference, travel-related conference. And luckily, I was warned by the border police when I landed in the airport, and the passport control was taken aside. I was said, they have some information concerning my safety. And the second time this happened in Armenia. The Republic of Armenia was once again, as luckily was warned by the local intelligence. So I continue my work, and hopefully, I never was kind of human rights activist or politician. I was really peaceful travel journalist. I traveled around like hundreds of countries. I published endless articles about beautiful places. But then I feel I just cannot keep quiet because I discovered absolutely different reality. I discovered hundreds and thousands of people suffering, dead, injured, and tortured. And my life has changed. I feel like I have to support those people. I have to expose their stories and my own story. And hopefully something will change. Global fragmentation and flying of democracies and like oppressive regimes just going up, and democracy proved to be very weak. What is really interesting, during my interrogation in Azerbaijan, many times Azerbaijani investigators mentioned a very interesting point. They said European civilization, which means North American civilization, is going down because no one cares about you. Europeans and Americans are very weak. They're weak and stupid. And our style of managing the relations much stronger. And when I tried to oppose, I tried to say, but look, the European institutions, all of them supported me. This is what? Who cares about the decision of the European Court? If they didn't follow the decisions, and no one cares about that. So, unfortunately, we need to do something to prove that democracy should be stronger. And as one of Indian diplomats that I know said, India is the biggest democracy in the world, but with a strong teeth. And this is a very important point, because otherwise we will lose. First of all, we have to mention real politics. So I do not expect much from the Canadian or any other government, American or European governments. I do not expect much. But I do what I have to do. At least I believe imposing of individual sanctions about in this case, Azerbaijani officials who were involved in the crimes committed against the Armenian population of Nagorno Karabakh, against the Armenians in the Armenian proper, and those who committed crimes against me and my family. At least they should be sanctioned for their visits to Canada or arrest of their assets in case they have some assets in Canada, and maybe some publications in local media. That's it, basically. I can bring you an example. About half a year ago, I've been to Strasbourg in a Council of Europe, and they voted for expulsion of Azerbaijan from PASE. There were like 8 points mentioned in these discussions in the Council of Europe. One of the points was my case. I talked in the Council of Europe about that Azerbaijan just refused to comply with the decisions of European Court and the United Nations. My case was added to the final document. So we need to do something like that. I'm just one. But if we just put all the puzzles together, we can do something. For example, I'll be happy to come to Canada once again and talk in Ottawa University, to give interviews to medias and meet with officials. So anything I can do, I will try to do.